Hello and welcome back to another out of spec detailing video here from Austin, Texas with a brand new Foundation Series Tesla Cybertruck. I flew down here 2 days ago to figure out what detailing supplies work on this stainless steel or other cleaners in general, and man oh man did I find the stuff. So today's video is going to be a wrap up of all of the products I tested, what worked and really what didn't work, because more things do not work than what actually works. It came down to 2 products and a process that I think is a little bit simple but completely different than I expected. So welcome back to another out of spec detailing video. Let's jump into it. I do apologize for the sunglasses. It is bright and sunny here in Austin, Texas. A truly beautiful day, as it was very, very gloomy yesterday. This thing threw me for a loop, to say the least. I've been a professional detailer for the past 10 years, really specializing in paint correction, ceramic coatings, and the really fine, intricate details of all things car detailing. I kind of came into this expecting the Cybertruck to be not really a huge deal. I was like, I have professional grade detailing supplies. I've got a ton of knowledge. All of that went out the window. And when I say all of that, I am not kidding. This material is so different than anything I've ever touched. This is, of course, not like car paint. This is also not even sort of close to any sort of appliance you've ever cleaned. This stainless steel is completely and absolutely different. Now, I had a lot of viewers and folks on Twitter commenting and DMing me saying, you have to test these household products. A lot of them absolutely did not work, and I'll share my findings with you. I did multiple videos testing everything from isopropyl alcohol to waterless washes, detail sprays, ceramic infused waterless washes and protectants, and even ceramic coatings. And a lot of those products, actually all of those products, did not work. So I want to share with you a little bit more today about my findings and show you through a process of how you can get the Cybertruck looking incredible. Now, I want to share a few important things I learned about the stainless steel on this trip. I actually had the opportunity to go to a Tesla service center and speak with one of the detailers who actually cleans and delivers the Tesla Cybertruck. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. This is not like traditional stainless steel, at least for the first couple of them that come in. And what I mean by that is we don't have grain basically going just down the car like normal stainless steel. This has DA marks all over it. And from what I understand is happening there, Tesla at some showrooms, I don't know if this is around the country, this is what we're seeing down here in Austin, they are 7-stage DA sanding these. So essentially they are taking sandpaper, I believe it was 160 grit or 120 grit starting, I cannot remember, this was days ago and lots of information. DA sanding it all the way up to around 660 or 680 grit and leaving that as the finished product. So the surface is very, very different. And I want to make this big note. Importantly, we had 3 different Cybertrucks down here that were in the stainless steel finish. 2 others were getting wrapped by G at Test Bros. And all 3 of the ones that were bare, naked stainless steel all looked different. One of them that was Turoed had a completely brown colored door. We can overlay some clips here to tell you what I'm talking about. There's a lot of weird things going on with this stainless steel. I believe it to be, yes, this is early days of Tesla Cybertruck, but I also think the stainless steel isn't going to always look perfect. Now, I need you to understand that these trucks are basically brand new, and they are already starting to have a patina. You see, stainless steel goes in 3 kind of different colorways. It's very silver, or it's very gold, brown, and bronze, or it goes to blue. There's a lot of different factors that go in there, a lot of different chemistry, a lot of different environmental factors. What I was finding is typical detailing supplies like detail spray, even waterless wash, and a lot of the ceramic coatings were making the surface brown, very gold, kind of milky and streaky. Same goes for a lot of the household polishes. Now, I talked a lot about this, that in the previous videos, most people think, okay, we need to clean and put something on here. From my findings, the Cybertruck does not like that. It likes to have a naked surface. Now, the interesting thing is I've been hearing everywhere from many folks to clean with Dawn dish soap, that this is Tesla's recommendation. I actually spoke with a gentleman down here and he goes, yeah, we don't use Dawn dish soap at all. So I don't know where people are getting this from. Now, I did a test between Dawn dish soap and traditional car shampoo that is pH neutral. My findings were you should use a pH neutral soap. It's more effective at cleaning off bug stains. It does just as well cleaning off fingerprint stains. We'll talk about fingerprints. And I think it's a better solution because you're not just working on stainless steel. You also have glass, you have plastic, you have rubber, you have different areas on the truck that if you are using something like Dawn dish soap, you are stripping everything off. While it worked pretty well on the stainless steel, I think the surrounding areas were a little bit of a challenge. So my recommendation is to wash your vehicle with something like Adams Polish's car shampoo. It's pH neutral, very easy to do, especially a vehicle like this. If you're washing outside, I do recommend you do not do that, but you know, circumstances are that way sometimes. Having something like that prevents a lot of water spotting, not only on the stainless steel, but the glass, all of the textured plastic and things like that. Now, fingerprints. Fingerprints are a massive problem. I have had so many people say, fingerprints aren't an issue on stainless steel. I'm just gonna use my Wyman cleaner on it. It's gonna be super easy. I'm telling you guys, fingerprints are a massive issue on these. This is the reason I'm here. This particular owner took delivery of his truck about a week and a half ago, somewhere in there, and he messaged me a few days after taking delivery of it and saying, I can't stand the fingerprints. It is genuinely a serious problem. The issue with the Cybertruck is we have no door handles here. So you press this button up here, you're grabbing the stainless steel here, closing it. Now, your hands and skin have a ton of oils on them. Think about like a steering wheel, how it gets shiny over time. That's all of your hand oils going into there. And the problem with the stainless steel is it's a lot more porous than something like paint. And once you get a fingerprint on there, it just really soaks and gets into the actual stainless steel. So you have to use products to get that out now. Now, a lot of folks were telling me isopropyl alcohol. From my findings, isopropyl alcohol does not work. I use it at all different strengths, basically 70%. The owner of this told me he used it all the way up to 90% isopropyl alcohol, and I kind of worked anywhere in between there and could find really no difference. It gets a lot of that main grease off, but it doesn't seem to really get it out. Now, through my findings, one of the best fingerprint removers was actually Windex. Yes, I know this sounds absolutely insane, and I was shocked myself as well. I also, in these tests, had a few different glass cleaners with me as well. Windex is ammoniated. So that's one thing that I think is helping it on the stainless steel. There's a lot more that goes into this, a lot of chemistry behind the scenes that you don't really understand about glass cleaners and polishes and waterless washes and things. It's really extraordinary, the engineering that goes behind this and figuring out what works and doesn't work. I've been working with a company out of Denver that specializes in creating detailing products. I was on the phone with them pretty much all day yesterday, sharing my findings because they were expecting something totally different, more of what I was expecting. Detailed products using ceramic coatings, and just didn't work. So my recommendation for quick wipe downs of fingerprints and smudges and streaks is Windex. It kind of blows my mind, to be honest. So I have tasked the company that I was working with to create a glass cleaner with some ammonia, with some better properties of Windex, and we'll be testing that. We have a ton of Cybertrucks through all you amazing viewers, and we're gonna see if we can make something better than Windex. I'm not exactly sure. To be honest, my findings here were it worked perfect. Now, the interesting thing from a detailer's perspective, I am all about protecting paint and vehicles. You know, I go through and do full ceramic coatings on paint typically, all the plastic trim, pulling off wheels, even on areas like glass as well. So I really thought, okay, I want to come down here. I brought 3 or 4 different ceramic coatings with me and I tested them and I was absolutely shocked. You would put it on the surface and it would just turn it this milky, nasty color. You could see all the lines in it. The problem with the stainless steel is it just soaks up. And there is a lot of chemical reactions going on this. This is not to say no ceramic coatings are going to work. I, of course, can't test the thousands that are out there. I'm sure there are some, but typically the formulations of SiO2, graphene oxide, and polyxylosate that I actually used did not work at all. They just turned it completely brown. So I've been speaking with that same company producing detailing chemicals. Can we find something for stainless steel? We're going to be working on this more and more as this story progresses, and I have more trucks here at the shop. It'll be very fascinating to see if we can come up with a solution. Now, the process that I found to be the absolute best is Barkeeper's Friend with liquid. These have been refinished already, as I was talking about with the 7-stage sanding. So I'm concerned about getting too aggressive with it. And my findings were as simple as this. You take Barkeeper's Friend, that is liquid, and you put it on a foam applicator. You work it in basically like you're waxing a car, but you're kind of scrubbing it a little bit. The interesting thing with this is you get a lot of this black residue coming off onto the pad because you are basically polishing metal. The interesting thing here is it does not have a lot of shine come back to it. It really keeps the finish nice, but what it does is takes that goldish brownish hue and turn it to bright silver, something that I was looking to find all day. It's like every product I would wipe on there, it just kept getting more brown and more brown and more brown. It almost seemed like the more I did, the worse it got, which is kind of opposite of how normal painted vehicles work. So I found that to be very, very interesting. Now, on top of the Barkeeper's Friend, because it is a liquid, essentially a polish, it was tricky to remove. So when I first tested it, I applied it on there, took a dry towel and tried to scrub it in, and I went, this doesn't look very good. If you guys are interested in how I came to that conclusion, there's a video going through all the household cleaners I tested. The interesting thing with this was when you're dry wiping it, it's basically just pushing the polish around and not taking the polish off. So you're just getting more and more residue off. What I found afterwards, as I was just like, yeah, this doesn't look very good, I brought out the Windex again, one of the best things, hit it with Windex and went, oh my God, I think I cracked the code on this thing. It's just, it was so wild because even the Barkeeper's Friend would turn it almost a little brown in areas and a little blue. Again, remember what I was talking about with stainless steel, 3 different colors, bright silver, kind of orangey, and then kind of blue. So you would get kind of this orange blue mixture in there, hit it with Windex and it's gone. It is perfectly silver and so deep. Now, the interesting thing that I'm learning with the Tesla Cybertruck is, of course, this was refinished. These things are patinaing in a different way. It seems like the stainless steel over time is going to turn that little bit of gold color. Now, some folks may like that, but what I've been finding here on the Cybertrucks is the patina is not even on the whole vehicle. Typically, we're seeing this banding here on the doors. I'm not sure if you can see it from there, but they get this darker orange strip down the leading edge here on the back door and the following edge here of the front door. Same to be said for the other side of the doors. Now, the doors are actually a different thickness from the rest of the truck, which is really interesting. That may be playing into it. But none of the other surrounding areas are really having this sort of banding issue quite as much. Actually, one of the best areas on the truck is back here in kind of the truck bed area. So my findings, like I said, were absolutely wild. So I'm actually back here today for day 2, and I'm going to do this whole truck with the process I showed you. So I'm going to give you a demonstration of how it actually works. I'll show you a few test spots. We can also overlay some clips of my findings. but it was just shocking to me. Now, again, I want to emphasize this. What it seems like the Cybertruck does not like is any sort of oil-based anything. So the stainless steel polishes turn it that milky brown color, and it gets very streaky, very, very splotchy. So think about adding the protection of even spray waxes, SiO2 infused, waterless washes, ceramic coatings, all of the different cleaners that I used. I've had people say, oh, you have to use Pledge, you have to use the Wyman stuff, and it all just makes it milky and nasty. So my findings are the Cybertruck likes to be naked, if you will, and the Barkeeper's Friend really strips everything off. One thing I want to touch on the Barkeeper's Friend, which is really interesting, we need to dig more into the formulation. So I've tasked the company I've been working with that produces these chemicals to kind of figure out what's going on in there. So from what we understand, there is an acid component to Barkeeper's Friend, which is reacting very, very well to the stainless steel here. Now within that, it also has compound abrasives. So very typical to what you would see from a normal vehicle when we're compounding and polishing. It has these abrasives in it to take off microscopic layers of the paint. But on this, it is taking off brown residue, that tarnish that's actually on here. So we believe what's happening is that the Barkeeper's Friend is very good at removing tarnish, which is what the Cybertrucks are doing. So I'm curious to see how this process is going to age and work over time. The owner of this Cybertruck has told us that he will take a photo for us every single day to see how it actually changes. Hopefully we can put this in a time-lapse form, update you guys on Twitter, make an update video here on the Out of Spec Detailing channel, and really see, is this going to last, or is this something you have to do every month like traditional wax? Is this gonna last a year? I have absolutely no idea. One thing I do want to make a note of before I show you an example, I apologize for those of you that don't like long videos, but I think it's important for people to understand how I come into this, my rationale behind things, and explain a little bit more in depth about my findings and how I got there and the reasons behind what I'm actually doing, instead of just going, yep, here you go. Because I find it very, very interesting, and I know a lot of you do too. So I worked on a panel yesterday using the Barkeeper's Friend with the Windex after it. It looked just fantastic. Now, it rained overnight. This particular Cybertruck is living outside, and it was very fascinating to see when I got here what it was actually doing. So let me explain a little bit. On the stainless steel that was basically untouched, just cleaned with IPA or cleaned with Windex, it basically was like beating up a little bit, but there were quite a few water spots. I'd wipe a towel over it and it was just covered in water spots. So this could be an issue later on. What's interesting is the areas with the Barkeeper's Friend and Windex actually looked worse when you wiped it with water. Then you hit it with Windex again, and all of the spots were gone. Whereas some of these areas still have a little bit of water spotting on them. So really interesting stuff going on there. Before we keep going here, let's jump into the current condition. There's a few things that I want to show you here on the hood, some environmental fallout, I believe to be, and I'm going to show you because Barkeeper's Friend actually is taking it out and doing some amazing things to it. Let me show you a little bit more about the surface. Now, a few things I want you to notice. Can you see this spot in here? Apologize that the camera went out of focus right here. So this to me looks like a little bit of these sanding marks that are going on. Some are a little darker and some are a little different. What I want you to look at here on the finish is, like I said, it's not in a straight line. It's actually in this kind of turned pattern. If you understand what pigtails are, it's very, very similar to that. We'll overlay some B-roll here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, what I want you to look at here on the Cybertruck are areas like this. See how it's getting very gold? And no, this is not just picking up reflections here. This is how they actually look. And I'll show you an example of the Barkeeper's Friend area. Again, I do apologize for the lighting right now. I fly out in a few hours here, so I don't have a ton of time here with the Cybertruck, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. But you can see more of these areas down here, how it gets very, very streaky and strange on the vehicle. Now over here on the doors, I hope you can see some of this banding. I can see it quite well right here to where this section is very, very dark. Same with here and same right here. It's very, very odd. Now, this panel up here is done with the barkeeper's friend. It's a little harder to see with the sunlight, but I hope you can tell how silver this is versus how orange this area is. What's interesting with this stainless steel also is that in different light, it really reacts to color changing and things like that. So right here, I'm looking at this. This looks insanely bright silver. This looks very gold. Now, if I come over to here, I can see the same thing, but in the shadows. So this spot right here was basically a spray on ceramic coating. So it had some SiO2 in it. You can see how weird it makes the finish. So it makes it almost look more tarnished and very, very old. Another thing I've noticed here on the trucks is that the panels are not all the same. I hope you can see here how shiny this area is. Then it goes matte on this door and shiny here. This seems to be an indication to me that either the process in which they do the HFS stainless steel is different panel to panel, or this could be from that refinishing that they're doing. Now, I hope you can see this area. Let me see if I can see it through the lens here a little bit. So this was just basically normal cleaned with Windex and waterless wash here, things like that, isopropyl alcohol. This again is the barkeeper's friend, and it truly brings out that brilliant silver shine to it. It's unbelievable. We'll overlay a 50-50 shot here. How much tarnish is actually on these Cybertrucks. Again, this thing's a week old. Look at the difference there. So before we delay too much more, let's get into some tarnish going on here. Now, I want to show you these spots on the hood. So little things like this and this and here, these are turning bright blue. Some of them are a little bit orange. Now, bugs are a problem here on the Cybertruck, as you can see over here in this particular area. I'm curious to see if you get those off quickly with Windex, how they'll do. Again, I didn't find Dawn dish soap to really help with the bugs, whereas I did find the Adams car shampoo to work well. Now, I am a little bit concerned in using bug remover on the stainless steel. This stuff reacts so strange to different products. I yesterday just did a little piece of PPF on here with XPEL Ultimate Plus and XPEL Stealth to see how it would look. I sprayed slip solution on there, and it was a nightmare to get the slip solution off. It just reacts so oddly to every single product. So what I would recommend, if you are testing things, you can test them, but this barkeeper's method and Windex is incredible. I coated an area and made it look like absolute crap. Went back in there, completely stripped everything off. So now we're ready to work on this. All this needs to be is somewhat clean. Now, a few things on actually scratching the stainless steel. It does scratch. There are areas on this truck that are scratched. On other trucks we saw, same exact thing. Nothing that I've done from washing it seems to be a huge issue, but it will scratch over time. So do keep that in mind. Now, I don't think you need to use super nice towels. I don't even necessarily think you need to really use a 2-bucket method here on the stainless steel, but for your windows and other plastic areas like the tail lights and the headlight area up front, I do think it would be a good idea. If you can minimize contamination, great. But a few things I want to touch on this. So this is what you're going to need here. This barkeeper's friend. This is the soft cleanser. Again, I was talking about one of the active ingredients in here is actually some sort of acid, which is really interesting. The abrasives in here are also interesting. And like I said, I'm trying to figure out exactly what's going on with this particular product. I'm not sure if this has a ton of diminishing abrasives or abrasives that you can keep working and and working. That's a big thing when it comes to polishing paint. So we're gonna play with that today and see how far this stuff goes. Like, can you do a whole panel with a little? Do you need a lot? I'm really going to try and fine tune this. Now this is the same kind of microfiber applicator you're going to need. I want you to look at this, how gray this is and black this side is. That is pulling off the tarnish finish here on the Cybertruck. Now, what I would also recommend you do is have 2 towels. So you're going to apply the barkeeper's friend here. You can let it dry quickly. Hit it with the first towel. This is going to pull off a lot of that black, nasty grime coming off of this area. Now it also helps to have a second towel that's a little bit cleaner. Hit it one more time with the Windex and it really makes a difference. But let's just real time show you doing this entire top section panel of how awesome it is. So I'm gonna apply some on here, be quite a bit liberal with it. Make sure you close this so it doesn't dry out. And we're just gonna go in and massage this in here. I'm just gonna do the whole section just to make sure it's as cohesive as possible. And this is an arm workout. One thing I'm interested in looking at is, can you machine polish this on? To be honest, I don't know. That's something I'm gonna need to do. I don't have a polisher with me here, nor did I feel like bringing it down with me. So that's gonna be something we're gonna have to test. My thought process on a DA polisher with a light foam pad, you can probably go in here, do the same exact thing and save you some time. This is a lot of elbow grease and work, if you will. And yeah, it's really, really wild. So I'm gonna apply a little bit more because I'm feeling it getting a little bit on the dry side. Can I just apply some like this, kind of spread out the solution. Now, one thing I do want to make note of this, if you are ever doing this process, which is also very similar to the full resurfacing process, you have to do the whole truck because it makes such a massive difference on the look of it that you're gonna have panels completely mismatched. So I think that's a really not the funnest thing to deal with. Again, I don't know if this is gonna be a monthly thing. Is this gonna be every 6 months? Is this gonna be every 3 months? Or are you never gonna really have to mess with this again? I don't know, only time will tell. But that's looking quite good here. Again, I am working in the shade. I don't want to heat this up too much. It's wild how the stainless steel actually transmits heat. Feels very different to typical aluminum on vehicles or normal steel. So just gonna take a little on here. You can spray it on here if you'd prefer. And you're going to wipe this down here. Now look at all that tarnish coming off of there. It's truly crazy. You can see how bright and brilliant that finish is getting. Again, the nice thing is it's not getting shiny. So I would use this as your first initial wipe. It's gonna remove most of the big amounts of grime. You're gonna go through towels on this. I bought cheap towels from Costco. That's what I would probably still do at home if I had a Cybertruck in the detail shop. So you're gonna see it basically haze off here. It's really, really wild, but I'm moving that polish around. That's why it's nice to have a second towel here. You can be quite liberal with the Windex for sure. So definitely stock up on this if you are purchasing a Cybertruck. And now you're gonna see where the real brilliance comes here. And then you wanna flip and dry. It's really interesting. A lot of people were saying, oh, the stainless steel loves alcohol solutions, which is why I tested multiple different glass cleaners compared to Windex, and it definitely did not seem to like the alcohol at all. But that is our result here. Any little smudges like here that you have, wipe that, boom. Now, I will say it is nice to work in smaller sections like that, but what you're gonna have happen is you get stuff like this on the other areas of the truck. So you have to work a little diligently. You can always wipe this off and then come back. You're just gonna go through tons and tons and tons of towels. So definitely keep that in mind. But I think this is such a cool process. Now, I think I'm just gonna do the rest of the truck, probably put you guys on a little bit of a time lapse. Now, one thing I do wanna mention, you probably don't wanna get this on plastic areas like this. So I'd probably recommend taping it off. If you don't get down here enough, you're gonna have this bright orange edge on here. It's truly insane what this actually does as far as the difference in tarnish color. I'll do another 50-50 here so you guys can really see what it actually looks like. It's just insane. Now I'm gonna work on this little section here. I wanna see how this does on the door and give you a nice 50-50 shot. I did put some electrical tape on here. Again, that's all I had. I'm not at the shop. I really wish I was, but nonetheless, we are on the road. So just gonna work this in gently. So I'm seeing one of those contamination spots. You can just come in here, scrub it, comes right off. It's really, really interesting how well that works on there. Just be very mindful around the plastic. The more that you can definitely tape it off, the better, and keep it off of there. It's going to probably turn it very, very white with all those abrasives. It's unbelievable the amount of tarnish coming off there, that black. Now again, the interesting thing here is every time, you know, somebody comments, oh, with stainless steel, you got to wipe in the direction of the grain. The grain's all over the place here. So you can kind of go free for all with whatever you want, straight lines. I kind of recommend some of the swirly like this. It just helps me scrub a little bit better. Now I haven't really played around with too much leaving this on here. I'm not sure if this is something you want to like do the whole truck at once and then come back to. I need to do some more testing with that, but for me this works pretty nice. I can, you know, keep it very concise in the area I'm in. And again, see, this is part of the problem. If you get up here, then you start bringing some of that polish back up into here and you're kind of reworking things, but that's just Cybertruck things, unfortunately. Grab my clean towel here. Again, a great amount there of Windex. And let's let that dry. Holy smokes. That makes a huge difference. I hope you guys can see that. That's insane. Let me bring you in a little bit closer. Well, I can really tell it doesn't show quite as much on camera, but there is a massive, massive difference there. Just looking down the door, you can see, oh, there you go. You can see how bright silvery it is, where this is like very yellow, very tarnished looking. And this, honestly, after you do this, makes the truck look old and worn. It's really interesting. So I do think Cybertruck will patina over time, and I bet this will turn into that later on. That is my personal opinion. This is not fact, this is my guess. So I think this is a really, really cool solution, and I'm pumped with it. Again, noticing it's not changing the sheen of it. It is just making it crystal clear. Look at the reflection in that kind of light source there, if you will. See how murky it is? And then it's bright and crystal clear, but very importantly, not shiny. The nicest thing with this too is it's cohesive. It's very, very even. Again, here on the doors, you get this banding effect right here. You get some different brown shades in it. You get some lighter blue shades at times. It's really, really interesting, but this looks phenomenal. My level of excitement right now is literally at an all-time high. I cannot believe how stunning this looks in the sunlight. I hope you can appreciate how bright this looks now. Wow, oh wow. The banding here, I'm just so shocked how much better that looks. it just looks insane. It's so silvery. So I wanted to show you this here while we're looking at it. You can kind of see some scratches in here, up here as well. Over here, can definitely see some scratches in the stainless steel for sure. So it does scratch, but oh my God, the finish on this is just perfection. And meanwhile, going to the back, one thing I am interested in knowing here is like this particular area, when you move the truck around, so I still need to come back through and wipe this a few more times with some Windex here. This is pretty typical. That's what I mean about you kind of have to keep working it a little bit, but oh my God, it looks insane. So this side, of course, you can really see how gold it's looking again. And over here, the banding in the doors, fingerprints here. So yeah, let's see here. My hands are very, very dry, but still leaving quite a bit of stuff on there. Wow. One thing I want to show you guys over here, let's take a look at how the Foundation Series etching looks. Because to me, it came out amazing. It's way deeper. It's almost like a gray now. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking pumped. I'm sorry, but not trying to be cocky here. I nailed this. I finally have figured this out. I honestly, yesterday while I was making these videos, sitting there thinking like, is my recommendation only gonna be Windex? And it just has this orangish, brownish hue. Like, I wasn't super pumped with that. So I put it in high mode, not full extract mode here. Kind of helps me get those lower areas a little bit, save my knees a little bit if we can, but I'm gonna play with this hood here. Again, remember we've got all of this kind of staining in here. You can really see it there from bugs and things like that. I'll show you, of course, after results. Be curious to see what it does here. You can really see that dark spot. Well, I was right. All of that contamination that was on here now totally gone. You can still see these dark spots, so I feel like this has something to do with how they sanded this particular one. It's interesting. I can really see the DA marks in the hood, especially here. Hopefully you can catch that in the video. Really, really interesting. But what I'm seeing is like DA marks here, and then they come back and they're doing this type of pattern here. And I kind of like I thought, you're getting some of those bands in there a little bit where it's slightly different color because it's turning the opposite way now. Still noticing some more scratches here, up here too as well. So interesting. But I got to tell you one thing, guys. Do not clean this thing outside. It is 53 degrees, sun's out. It feels like I'm in a tanning salon or a tanning booth right now. It's truly unbelievable. But yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I got to catch a flight here soon, so let's keep rocking. Let's do a quick walk around here because we are done. All of the panels here on the Cybertruck have been fully done with the barkeeper's friend and Windex afterwards. Lots of interesting findings here. I went through about 4 or 5 applicators on the whole truck. They get so gummy and so gummed up. There's so much residue coming off of the stainless steel, the black, really nasty residue. I went through a ton of gloves just trying to keep things clean because I kept chasing myself around the vehicle. So I would say you need a lot of patience doing this. It was about, I would say 2.5 to 3 hours realistically. You can absolutely do this by yourself, no problem. Helps if you have a buddy. It's a really, really simple process, I would say. Definitely keep mind of getting it on the black arches here, the rubber strip around the windshield. Just things like that are, yeah, a little bit challenging, I would say, but take your time with it. It is fun, it is rewarding. Now, a few times what I was having was, like I said before, it's hard to see underneath when you're scrubbing it with the barkeepers. Grab a new applicator, put some on there, do a small little section, wipe it with Windex. A quick note on the Windex. The more you use, it seems to like to get all of that residue off. I went through so many towels, probably 15 or 16 doing the whole truck. I love this thing in the sun. It's insane. It's just glowing. But the Windex seems to not like the dry wipe. So wet wiping it and flipping it like I was doing before was causing some issues on the bigger panels like the doors and the hood. So what I was finding is wiping it wet and letting it air dry, kind of off gas if you will, and that worked absolutely perfect. I am just thrilled with the results here. All of the issues we had here on the hood, completely gone now. No issues whatsoever. That finish is just insane. All of the bugs on here completely gone. This is just the wildest looking thing I've ever seen. Moving over here into the shade, the finish is just perfect looking. It's not as deep orange as it was. A lot of this banding here in the doors completely went away. I don't even know if that's the right term, but that's what I'm calling it, because it's this band of little grime sitting there, and it looked so terrible. I'm thrilled with this, and unbelievable findings here, I would say, on the Cybertruck. My expectations, not even close to being this. I really thought I was gonna come down here, figure it out, be able to coat this thing. I don't think ceramic coatings, as for certain formulations, will work. I need to test more. There's thousands of ceramic coatings out there, so I think we still have a little bit more work to do. We're gonna get our hands on more here very soon. Trust me on that one. It'll be very, very fun. Got a few friends taking delivery of their foundation series in not too distant future. So, barkeeper's friend and Windex. Who would have thought? I know a lot of you guys are gonna say, I told you so. The process though is a little different. Combining the two makes all the difference because one needs the other. Really interesting findings here. Thank you guys so much for watching this series. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope if you get a Cybertruck, you will do this whole treatment on it. And I can't wait to see what it actually looks like in a month, 2 months, 6 months. Not really sure, but I can't wait to share this one with you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one soon. Bye-bye.